Headaches and hangovers usually follow parties, but unfortunately for Boris Johnson, they rarely last as long as this. Partygate, the scandal that broke back in December, shows no signs of slowing down as we approach the end of January. In fact, it might even be getting worse. So in this video, we'll take a look at accusations of blackmail and Islamophobia, Johnson's alleged birthday party, and the Met Police Chief launching an investigation. Will this finally, and I know we've said this a lot, be the end of Johnson? But before we get into the latest scandals, if you want to always remember the parties we weren't invited to, check out the number 10 Parties Tour shirt and posters, and 50% goes to the National Emergencies Trust COVID appeal. The link is in the description below. So the blackmail scandal started following the defection of Chris Wakeford from the Conservative Party to the Labour Party last week. The specific allegation was that one of the Tory whips threatened Wakeford by telling him that if he voted for Labour's motion to extend free school meals over the holidays, then the government would withdraw funding from a high school in Bury, his constituency. Originally, he didn't name the person who threatened him, but later in the week, speaking to the Sunday Times, he was unequivocal. It was Gavin Williamson. Wakeford has alleged that Williamson pulled him out of a House of Commons dining room and said, "It's not very helpful to back an opposition motion against the department where you're wanting an extremely large favour from said department, so do consider what you're doing." Williamson, for his part, denied the allegation, stating that, "I don't have any recollection of the conversation as described, but what I do remember is working tirelessly with Christian and others in order to be able to deliver this school, which I did." Now, this is obviously not good news generally for the government. As the Sunday Times highlights, if proven, the allegation that Williamson threatened to pull the plug on millions of pounds of public money would surely amount to a breach of the ministerial code and prompt calls for further investigation. The only real saving grace for them is that Williamson is no longer a member of the government. Unfortunately for the government, though, this wasn't the only accusation. It prompted other MPs to make similar claims, most notably William Wragg, who made this stunning admission in his position as chair of the Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee on Thursday last week.
A number of members of Parliament have faced pressures and intimidation from members of the government because of their declared or assumed desire for a vote of confidence in the party leadership of the Prime Minister, in threatening to withdraw investments from members of Parliament's constituencies which are funded from the public purse, encouraging the publication of stories in the press seeking to embarrass those who they suspect of lacking confidence in the Prime Minister is similarly unacceptable.
This allegation in particular escalated the scandal, as it involved current members of the government. Additionally, the fact that Wragg claimed that the blackmail occurred in relation to letters of no confidence ties this scandal in with wider chaos surrounding the government. Labour MP Chris Bryant said he'd heard from MPs who'd claimed the Prime Minister himself had engaged in similar tactics recently. This might amount to misconduct in public office, which carries with it a maximum penalty of life imprisonment. Anyway, on Monday this week, William Wragg met with the Metropolitan Police to go through his claims, although his statement on the matter was very vague, with him saying, "I met with the Met detective this morning and I've left matters with them. I'm afraid I can't say any more at this stage." So what does this mean for the government? Well, if MPs have been blackmailed by the whips, then this would be pretty bad, because blackmail is a criminal offence under Section 21 of the Theft Act of 1968. But the line between blackmail and persuasion is pretty hard to draw. After all, it's a whip's job to use carrot and stick incentives to convince MPs to support government business. But the problem seems to be that some of the sticks, threatening to cut off funding for a school or expose elements of an MP's private life, for example, were a bit beyond the pale. And especially so given that they weren't just about government business, but saving the Prime Minister. Nonetheless, these are the broad questions that need to be answered in relation to the blackmail scandal. The thing is, though, that blackmail isn't the only thing the government has been accused of in the last week. There is, of course, the ongoing Partygate saga, but as we've already made enough videos on this, we won't revisit them here. On Sunday, former Transport Minister Nusrat Ghani claimed that she'd lost her ministerial position because, according to a whip, her Muslimness was an issue and some of her colleagues felt she hadn't done enough to defend the Conservatives against allegations of Islamophobia. In a now-deleted tweet, Chief Whip Mark Spencer admitted that he was the unnamed whip Ghani was referring to, but denied the allegations. The allegations split the Conservative Party, with Cabinet Ministers like Health Secretary Sajid Javid and Vaccine Minister Nadhim Zahawi calling for a proper investigation, while others, like Michael Fabricant, dismissed the allegations as implausible given that Ghani was, quote, hardly someone who's obviously a Muslim. As if this wasn't all bad enough, on Tuesday morning, the Met Police decided that it would investigate Downing Street parties for breaking coronavirus regulations. The Telegraph claims that the investigation would cover 8 of the 17 Downing Street events, but this was not confirmed by the Met. This has a couple of important consequences. First, it means that the awaited Sue Gray report into Downing Street parties will be pushed back again, at least until the Met have completed their investigation. This could be many weeks and months. Second, due to the delay, this could push backbench Tory MPs to submit their letters of no confidence early. Many backbenchers are said to be waiting for the report to be published before sending their letters. But if Sue Gray decides it won't be for months, then there's a good chance that they'll become restless. We obviously can't speculate on the outcome of the Met Police investigation, but needless to say, the police investigating Downing Street events is not a good look for the Prime Minister. All in all, the government is even more deeply entrenched in perpetual crisis. All governments, both left and right, face scandals, but the sheer number of scandals concentrated in such a short period of time is totally unprecedented. The party scandal in particular is only made worse by the fact that the government has asked the public to do so much over the last 2 years to stop the spread of the virus, which makes it unique to other political scandals because it really hits home for such a huge proportion of the British public. The question now is, can Johnson hold on to power? What do you think? Will he? And if not, when and how will he leave number 10? As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you want to remember the parties we missed and get money to those in need of COVID support, then check out our number 10 parties tour shirts and posters. They feature all of the parties that we know about so far and hopefully look pretty cool too. The link's in the description, and 50% of profits go to the National Emergencies Trust COVID Appeal, which helps those in the UK whose lives were affected during the pandemic. Thanks for your support. And as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible, and if you want to see your name at the end of videos just like these people, then be sure to back us on Patreon. The link to that is in the description below.